Good morning and welcome to the show. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. I'm here with Vonda Gaina, Vanna the Coupon Queen, to get some money-saving tips or maybe just some life advice on how to stretch those dollars that we work so hard for.
Don, the purpose of using coupons is to save money, meaning to keep extra cash, real money, in your savings account or in your pocket. But the problem now, based on the TV show that we've mentioned, is that a lot of people don't want to use coupons to save money.
And that TV show we were talking about was that extreme couponing craziness where people were buying things they didn't need and all that.
Yes. So a lot of people are using coupons and saying, well, I'm not saving any money. I'm not seeing the benefit. Well, it's because they're not using coupons correctly. They're not using coupons to help offset the cost of household expenses. They're using it to get a lot of things in mass quantities that aren't needed.
So being a couponer, it doesn't mean you have to drastically change your lifestyle.
No.
I mean, the coupon should help you in your lifestyle.
Exactly. And people aren't using coupons in that manner. I always tell people at my classes, if you're going to get a coupon insert, don't clip every coupon that's in that insert. Only clip the coupons that you need. Nobody should be using a coupon just for the sake of saying, oh, I have a coupon to use.
Yeah.
That you're going to see your money go extremely quickly. And then social media. Don, yesterday, somebody posted a picture on Facebook. They spent an astronomical amount of money to acquire 600 coupons to get something that they didn't need.
Wow.
That's not how it works. You can't do that. You're not going to see the benefits of saving if you shop like that. So it's important for the viewers to know, only utilize coupons for the items that you use in your household.
Vonda, is there ever a situation in which you'd switch brands because maybe it's a better value?
No, some things I'm not going to compromise on. But for as long as I've been using coupons, Don, there's only been one manufacturer that I contacted via email that told me, no, we don't send out coupons. And that was Taste of the Wild dog food. I used to feed my dogs that. Well, I only had Onyx then. But their dog food is very expensive. It's, almost $60 for the big bags. And they said, no, we don't send out coupons. One manufacturer.
So you changed brands then?
I changed brands then.
Okay. So there's no reason really for you to change your brand or what you're used to having in your home just because there's a coupon.
Exactly.
I mean, so you should be able to get a coupon for just about every item.
Just about everything. Just take, 30 seconds and send an email.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. They'll mail coupons to your home.
Yeah. And I guess you could go to their website and do a little investigation there.
Yes. But coupons really can help you save money if you do it the right way.
Instead of buying all this crazy stuff you don't need. So, so in other words, you should fit the couponing into your lifestyle, not fit your lifestyle into the coupon.
That's it.
Yeah, so,
that's how it goes.
That's wise advice, Vonda, because you saw that show, and just to remind people, it's a crazy show that was on a couple of years ago called Extreme Couponing, where people were buying all this crazy, crazy stuff, and they had whole rooms in their house with excess things that they couldn't possibly use.
Exactly. I think people forget that with TV, the shows are for entertainment purposes only.
It is.
So
it is, and that's what it's about. Except for this show.
Well, except for this show.
And except for Vonda, because you learn useful stuff on this show. Vonda Gaina, the Coupon Queen, thank you again for that wise advice on couponing and how to save money.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after your Waking Up with Don weather. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Laura Nelson from A-List Accounting, and we're going to have some fun with finances here. Well, maybe not so much fun.
It can be fun.
Welcome. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
It's good to, you say, good to be seen. We talked a little bit before we started rolling tape about bottlenecking your business.
Correct.
What exactly does that mean?
Basically, that is micromanaging. Getting too involved in your business to where you can't see the big picture.
So, in other words, you're doing everything.
Exactly.
And you're micromanaging everything. Well, maybe you can't afford to hire an employee. Maybe you're like a one-person business, a sole proprietorship, and you've got to do it all.
Well, maybe you need to contract it out. you know,
Oh, that's an idea.
subcontract. I mean, there's other options, but you're slowing yourself down. You can't focus on running your business if you're dealing with all the minute detail of the business.
So maybe you're the baker,
Right.
You've got a baker and you're the baker, but you're also the bookkeeper. You're also the accountant.
Correct.
You're also the salesman. You're also the counterman. You're also the floor sweeper.
Yep.
You're everything else.
Yeah. And if you would let go of those things, you would actually see an increase in productivity, revenue. I mean, because now you can focus on what you need to in order to maintain your business.
What if you feel you can't afford to hire someone? Or is that just a self-deception that...
Well, that's one of those risks you have to take. I mean, that's part of being a business owner. If you want to be a business owner, you need to take risk. I mean, otherwise you're not going to grow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the whole idea behind business too. You're putting it out there.
Yeah, yeah.
God, don't I know it? You're putting it out there, and sometimes you got to take another added risk on top of that initial risk.
Correct.
And that might mean getting a smart person to do your books for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or getting a smart person to do your sales for you, or a smart person to help you out with production of your product or service.
But it's a good sign. That means you're growing.
Right.
If you have that need, you know, because remember at the beginning, it's not as stressful. I mean, it's stressful, but it's not as much as it is, say, a year from now.
Because when people start out in businesses, and I learned this through a couple people at Small Business Development Center and the Veterans Business Outreach Center and all that, it's like, you got to go in with some capital.
Correct.
And you got to put some money down to get a business going.
Yep.
But once you start doing okay, it might be time to start hiring some help.
Correct.
Let's, I got to run off to a break. But on the other side, I want to explore that just a little bit more. After these messages, we'll be back with Laura Nelson and A-List Accounting. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Laura Nelson from A-List Accounting, and we're talking about bottlenecking your business. And bottlenecking just means if you're in charge of everything, you've created a bottleneck.
Correct.
In your business where you're the indispensable person.
Correct.
And if you get hit by a truck, or you get sick, or you can't do the job, nothing gets done.
Exactly. So, I mean, you've got to let go. So when you do have those employees, give them some responsibility, train them, let them be the one that maintains the information and reports back to you on it so that you can get the overall big picture, but you don't have to stay involved in the minute detail, and you can, you know, focus on, you know, getting out there and marketing and running your business.
Yeah, on growing your business.
Yeah.
When do you know it's time, though? I mean, is there like, after a year in business, you should start farming things out, or is there no formula?
There is no formula. I mean, it's more or less, it's a gut feeling, I guess you could say. You know, just knowing that you are over your head. Yeah. And if you start the business out right and plan ahead, you can actually start with those particular things in place. So then you don't, you know, have to go that route a year from now and try to figure out who's going to do what.
Yeah, but a lot of businesses start out small.
Yes, they do.
You know, a lot small out with, start out with maybe it's just mom and pop.
Exactly.
You know, doing something and you know, maybe you can't start out that way.
Yeah.
But maybe after a while, once you got a little revenue going in and out, and you can take that additional risk of dedicating some fund, because you're not going to get it for free.
Nope. No.
I mean, you're gonna have to pay for whatever help you get, but you'll have to pay for it in some form or other. And you could even do it like a salesperson on commission, perhaps.
Correct. Yep.
Or a trade or things like that. There's a lot of
there's avenues to take.
There's avenues to
do
that
to
relieve
get you back on
yourself
your
of all
feet.
that responsibility.
Yep.
My God, I feel so much better now, Laura. If someone wants to learn more about bottlenecking or just get some sound accounting advice, we can always contact you, right?
Correct.
And how do we do that?
You can either contact me by phone, 850-249-0315, or go to my website and submit your information, and that's at alistaccounting.com.
alistaccounting.com. Laura Nelson from A-List Accounting, thank you so much for getting us smart on bottlenecking. And we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Heather Noyes from Raymond James Financial, and we're going to get smart on your finances and investments. Heather, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it looks like the market is doing great, huh?
Oh yeah, market's doing really good for February. You know, we stumbled a little through January, but thankfully things have recovered nicely in February, and markets are up so far this year.
Isn't that something else? And also tax time is, you should be doing your taxes, or you should have done your taxes by now.
Right.
I mean, you've got until,
We still have till April to get them done. Yeah.
To get them all done. But now's a good time to start planning for next year, I suppose.
Absolutely. You know, we talked about last week about the, funding your IRAs. You still have an opportunity to do that. But to help yourself be a little bit more tax efficient for this coming year, if you haven't already done it, you need to be contributing that 401k. That's an easy one. If you've maxed out the 401k, if you've put into your IRA, if you qualify for an IRA, you've done those things. Some other things that you may want to consider to make your finances more tax efficient. I'll start with municipal bonds. Muni bonds are offered through different municipalities, so your states, local government, cities, and things like that, where maybe they need money for a certain project, whether it's school renovations or highways or bridges.
Airport, building a bridge, whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so you can buy those municipal bonds and earn tax-free interest. They have a stated interest rate that they pay, and they also have a stated maturity date. So at the end of that term, you basically get, your principal back from that municipality, and then all the while you've earned that interest, which again is federal income tax free. And for us in Florida, it's also state income tax free because we don't have state income tax.
Yeah, so municipal bonds may be a really good option if you've got a little bit of money and you're looking to, squirrel some away for the new year. And of course, you really can't do that on your own. I guess you can, but most people just don't have the time, and we're not that sophisticated. And we probably need to see a financial advisor to get involved in that stuff, right?
Absolutely. Something else that's pretty tax efficient that people don't necessarily realize is so tax efficient is investing in individual stocks. So if you bought, stock in Apple.
Now, I've heard that's very risky business for people.
It can be if it's a diversified portfolio and you're amongst a bunch of different sectors. In a down market, you would, you could lose value, but over time in a growing economy, you'll be successful actually and earn money.
And I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were saying something about Apple.
Well, I was just saying, if, for example, if you bought stock in Apple, let's say you paid $200 for it, or I'm sorry, like $85 for it or whatever, and it's gone up. Actually, it went up to $700 last year.
Wow.
And they did a 7-for-1 split. So let's say, actually right now it's about $130 a share. So you paid, $100 for it, it's $130. Well, you're not paying taxes on that gain at this point. The only time you pay taxes on that gain is if you actually sell that position. Then you would pay taxes on the gain. So you could still get gains on your money, make your money grow, and hypothetically not be paying taxes on that.
And still get
money.
dividends from that
and
as well.
You can still get dividends. And dividends have there's been some changes to the dividend tax rates. The maximum rate that you would pay on the dividends is 20%. And that's if you're in the highest tax bracket, which is around, the highest tax bracket is just under 40. But for the majority of individuals, the max they would pay is 15% on those dividends.
So that's not so bad.
Right.
And I got to tell you, if you bought Apple in the early years, oh, forget it.
Right.
But they've had their ups and downs as well.
Absolutely.
But I guess the moral to the story is, long term, they did great.
Right.
Now, if you're not a very sophisticated guy like me, I'm a very simple fella, and you want to make sure that you're doing something good with your money. I mean, should you be looking more toward mutual funds or
Mutual funds give you a good way that you can diversify, I would say, with smaller amounts of money, and especially if you're something you're going to do on your own. It's easier to do a mutual fund than if you were going to do something on your own and try to pick individual stocks, because that's a whole another conversation, rather, a whole other show.
Who needs a financial advisor?
I think everybody needs a financial advisor. One of the main reasons is that people have emotions that cause them to do things like buy high and sell low, whether it's a mutual fund or a stock. So whenever they have somebody that they can call that puts things into perspective for them, and also puts things in perspective for them, maybe it keeps them from selling out when they really shouldn't. And then also to make sure that how your money's invested, that it's something that you can tolerate as far as risk goes, so that you can sleep at night. You may need to be more conservative, or some people may, be able to tolerate more fluctuations in their account, and determining that, making sure that where you're invested is appropriate, and keeping, you invested.
So when in doubt, call Heather Noyes at Raymond James Financial. Thanks so much for coming on the show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dan Hines from Dan Hines Coaching, and today we're going to talk about emergency funds. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Don.
First of all, I really enjoy our talks. So I always learn a little something from you, or relearn something that that I know is intuitively obvious.
Yes.
Like having a budget, or but some things aren't, like emergency funds.
Yes, emergency funds I don't think get talked about enough. And when I say emergency fund, you might have heard it as a rainy day fund, or a God only knows fund. It's something. It's where we as families
God
and as
only knows fund.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
just
it.
it's one of those things where like, oh, well, all right.
Yeah, things happen in life.
Things happen, right?
Yeah.
And the good news is that we buy a lot of insurance as a nation, as a society, to help cover a lot of big stuff. So you get health insurance for the big stuff like cancer and operations and so forth.
Everybody has life insurance because we're all going to die.
Life insurance, yep. Car insurance is mandated. You've got to have car insurance, and so that covers a lot of the big stuff. But what about the small stuff? What about if you need just tires, or you need to fix a windshield wiper, or something breaks in the house and you need to get the air conditioning fixed, or a water heater? There's a lot of things that can kind of go wrong, but they're not the big stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Your water heater goes out, and unless you have like a homeowner's insurance type deal, and I had that. I don't know if I can say the name of the company or not, but we certainly made our monies back out of that home insurance because one year in our old house, everything broke.
Oh, wow.
The air conditioning went out, the air handler went out, we had all kinds of problems, and that little insurance policy really paid for itself.
Right, and then so if you don't have the insurance, what happens is you get a bill, and you can get your appendix taken out. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, and so the reason for the emergency
you need dental
fund,
work.
Yes.
That's another thing. Kid needs braces, and you're like, oh, geez. Dental plans, I come in all different levels, but
they do.
None of them cover 100%.
Right. And we can't look into the future either. There's things that just happen and we don't know they're going to happen, and insurance covers a lot. But that emergency fund, what it does is it's kind of your small thing insurance. Now, a lot of times, a lot of families, what happens is something happens on the car, they don't have the cash, so they put it on a credit card. Right. So they go into debt to fix the car, and then so they try to pay off the car, they try to pay that off, but then something else happens, and they have to charge it again because they don't have the cash, and again and again and again. So a lot of families get in this kind of downward spiral where it can be tough to get out of. So there's kind of two different emergency funds I talk about. The first is get $1,000 or maybe $500 and just let it sit there, and then start paying off all your debt. Try to get rid of the credit cards, car loans, and other stuff. And then once all those debts are gone, you want to try to have about 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund.
Not 3 to 6 months of income, but 3 to 6 months of expenses.
Right, and the reason for that, the big reason is that if you happen to lose your job, then you as a family have 3 to 6 months where you can just look for a job and you can still eat and you can still pay the bills and still pay the mortgage, and it gives you time to find that next job.
What if you're like me and maybe you're retired and you have a steady income stream because you've done something right in your life? Do you still need that?
I would still suggest it because that emergency fund also helps you avoid in the future going back into that spiral. And so even if you're retired and something happens, if you've got that cash sitting around, then you don't have to put it on a credit card. You're self-insuring yourself. You don't have to go into debt to pay for that stuff. So having that emergency fund is still important.
And it also gives you a good sense of security. I think psychologically, there's an impact to saying, okay, I've got X amount of dollars there just in case.
Right, and a lot of people ask me, well, why have 3 months, why have 6 months? And the first thing I say, well, how fast do you think you can get a job? If you think you're gonna have to move out of town, move to another state, maybe you wanna be more towards the 6 months. If it's something where, you're something that's a dime a dozen more or less, maybe 3 months, because you might not need as long to find that job. But I've talked with realtors that want a whole year because they're afraid of the market going down again.
Sure.
But I've also heard of people, they want $250,000 sitting in the bank just ready, which I think is a bit overkill.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to leave laying around.
Right, because that's a college education or two, and then you could take that and you could invest it, you could do something else with it as well.
Now, Dan, you have an event coming up where people can learn more about this?
Absolutely. We're going to have a pure budgeting event. So the last Saturday in March 28th, it's a Saturday, we are going to have a budgeting workshop. So in 1 hour, I'm going to teach you how to budget so that if you want to start your emergency fund, or if you want to start paying off debt, or if you want to start retiring, this is the absolute first step you have to take to get that going.
So, and how can do I have to register for it? Can I just show
yes,
up?
you can just show up, so there's no registration needed. If you would like to know more information, I'm on Facebook at Dan Hines Coaching. You can also find my website, which is fixingfamilyfinances.com.
fixingfamilyfinances.com, Dan Hines Coaching. Thank you so much for coming on the show
Very
and getting
good.
us smart on these reserve funds.
Thank you very
that
much,
we need to
Don.
have.
Yeah.
And go out there last Saturday in March. We'll see you next time.